What if the world never experienced a dark age? What if the great libraries of antiquity never burned? The aqueducts never collapsed? And Rome's eagle standard continued to rise across continents instead of fading into ruins? Imagine a world where Latin didn't become a relic of scholars, but the everyday language of billions. A world where roads, laws, and learning never fractured. Where Europe never splintered into feudal kingdoms. Where the Renaissance wasn't a rebirth, but simply the next step of an uninterrupted march of progress. This is the timeline where the Roman Empire never fell, a world shaped not by collapse, but by continuity. Welcome to ChronoShift. To understand how radical this alternate world becomes, we first need to revisit the moment Rome began to unravel. By the late 4th and early 5th centuries, the Roman Empire was strained from all sides. Germanic migrations pushing into imperial borders, economic decline pressing on the treasury, a military stretched thin across thousands of miles, and political instability that left emperors rising and falling like flickering embers. In the West, infrastructure decayed. Trade routes shrank, legions became understaffed, underpaid, and increasingly filled with Roman mercenaries. The East, the Byzantine Empire, survived, but the Western Empire collapsed in 476 CE. This collapse isn't just a historical footnote, it shaped everything that followed. The fall of Rome allowed the rise of feudal Europe, the fragmentation of languages, the loss of centralized education, the decline of scientific inquiry, the isolation of regions that had once been linked by roads and law. The world we know today, nation-states, languages, religions, borders, all trace their roots to Rome's collapse. But what if it never happened? Before we shift the timeline, we must identify the pressure points. 3 critical ones stand out. Succession chaos. No stable method for choosing emperors led to corruption, civil war, and short-lived rulers. Economic overreach. Too much territory, too many fronts, not enough revenue to sustain them. External migrations. Large-scale movements of Goths, Vandals, Huns, and others that Rome could not absorb or repel efficiently. Fix even one of these, and Rome lasts longer. Fix 2, and it becomes stable. Fix all 3, and Rome may endure indefinitely. So in our alternate timeline, a single pivotal change will redirect history. The year is 375 CE. Instead of reacting slowly and chaotically to the arrival of the Goths fleeing the Huns, Rome negotiates wisely. A visionary emperor, someone like a strengthened Valentinian, implements sweeping reforms, grants the Goths land inside the empire as federated allies rather than oppressed refugees, integrates them into the Roman military structure with clear rights, obligations, and paths to citizenship, establishes a stable imperial succession council that eliminates civil war, initiates economic reforms, standardized grain supply, tax restructuring, and incentives for border provinces, strengthens education across the empire, particularly engineering and administration. In this timeline, the Visigoths do not rebel. The Battle of Adrianople, one of Rome's worst defeats, never happens. Rome stabilizes its borders. The Western Empire doesn't collapse. The East and West remain united as a single Roman superstate, and the world shifts. The empire enters the Roman Renaissance early. Without the fall of Rome, Europe doesn't experience a dark age. Literacy remains high. Libraries like those in Alexandria and Constantinople continue to copy, translate, and expand knowledge. By the year 800, Roman engineers develop early water turbines. Widespread education accelerates mathematics and astronomy. Roads become proto-highways with standardized mile markers and courier systems. Roman universities emerge centuries before their real-world equivalents. This leads to what historians call the Roman Renaissance, a technological and intellectual boom happening 600 years early. A unified Europe under Latin. No fragmentation into France, Spain, Italy, or Germany. Instead, we get Roman provinces, all governed under a central senate and emperor. Languages like French, Spanish, and Italian never evolve. Latin stays universal, refined, and standardized. The global language of diplomacy, law, and science. By the Middle Ages in this timeline, the empire also absorbs Germanic territories peacefully. Europe becomes one cultural and political bloc, a continent-sized superpower. Religion evolves differently. No great schism. The division between the Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church never occurs. Instead, Christianity remains unified under one administrative body aligned with the Roman state. This changes global history profoundly. No crusades as we know them. More emphasis on education than dogma. Less religious fragmentation in Europe. Rome's unified religious structure fosters stability rather than conflict. Early industrialization. Because Roman engineering and learning never collapse, innovation accelerates dramatically. By 1200 CE in this alternate world, windmills and watermills are common everywhere. Roman metallurgists experiment with steam pressure. Early mechanization appears in agriculture and mining. Maps become more accurate. Trade networks expand to India, China, and sub-Saharan Africa. Paper production becomes widespread much earlier. By 1500 CE, Rome becomes the first civilization to experiment with proto-industrial machinery, centuries before Britain would in our world. The empire becomes a scientific powerhouse. Global exploration, Roman world system. Without the fall of Rome, Spain and Portugal never exist. But the Roman provinces of Iberia still launch expeditions westward. Imagine Roman triremes evolving into advanced ocean-worthy ships. By the 1400s, Rome begins exploring the Atlantic. It is not Columbus who discovers the Americas, but Roman explorers with imperial sponsorship, standardized mapping, and organized colonization policies. The Romans established provinces in the Americas, spreading infrastructure, roads, aqueducts, and cities. This creates a vast transatlantic Roman Union, connecting Europe and the New World centuries before modern globalization. Modern era, a Roman superstate. By the 1800s, the Roman Empire spans Europe, North Africa, the Mediterranean, parts of the Middle East, the Roman Americas. Its population exceeds 1 billion. Its cities are hyper-modern interpretations of classical architecture. Colossal forums, glass-domed baths, maglev-like rail systems powered by early electric engineering. Skyscrapers inspired by Roman triumphal columns. Rome becomes the world's first mega-civilization. Geopolitics. Because Rome never collapses, the world looks radically different. No world wars, no Cold War, no colonial scramble for Africa, no fractured nation-states in Europe, no rise of fascism or Nazism, no US versus USSR rivalry. China and India evolve as independent super-civilizations. The world becomes tripolar, Rome, China, and India. A more multipolar world emerges, competitive but not defined by global wars. In our real timeline, the fall of Rome was a tragedy, but also a catalyst. Its collapse allowed new cultures, languages, and identities to grow. It created diversity, but also chaos. It gave birth to feudalism, and eventually to modern nations. It slowed progress, but made the Renaissance more dramatic. It shattered unity, but fostered innovation from unexpected corners. In our alternate world, progress is smoother, faster, more centralized. But what do we lose? We lose the spark of decentralization. We lose the unique cultural identities that emerge from fragmentation. We lose the unpredictable bursts of innovation caused by competition between nations. We lose the modern world as we know it. A world where Rome never fell might be more advanced, but perhaps less diverse, less chaotic, less messy, and maybe less human. History is a story of collapse and rebirth, decline and ascent. Rome's fall shaped who we are, in ways both painful and beautiful. But imagining the roads not taken reminds us of a simple truth. The world is fragile, empires rise, and empires fall. Yet through the fragments, humanity always finds a way to rebuild. If you enjoyed exploring this alternate world, subscribe to ChronoShift, where we uncover the histories that never happened, but perhaps could have. Until the next timeline, stay curious.